I hear from so many women on this channel, people who leave me comments, people who write to me, people who have just been through divorces like I have, or their kids have grown up and have left the home, or they've been working in jobs for the last 20 years that they've just been laid off from, and they're all saying a version of the same thing. Many of them are at a turning point or a pivot in their lives or some life transition, and they don't know who they are anymore or what they want. And that scares them. And I totally get this. I have been exactly in that very same position not so long ago. I remember looking in the mirror, seeing my tired, exhausted, depleted face staring back at me and thinking to myself, where did my spark go? Who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. I think that most of us, whether it's a yearning that you have or a desire that lives in your heart for many, many years, I think we know a lot more than we're willing to say out loud. And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. If you're new here, I'm Krista and this is The Slow Creative. I help sensitive, creative women make space in their life for what they actually love. Whether it's their creativity, a calling that lives on their heart, maybe you want to start an online business or reignite a hobby that you've put on the back burner. This channel is all about helping you create a more beautiful, intentional life. Welcome to the channel. And if you've been here before, welcome back. In today's video, I want to give you some practical things that you can do to help you rediscover who you are and what you love so that you can start getting in alignment with your true, authentic self and the things that you want for this next chapter of your life. Many of the things that I'm going to share with you are things that you could start today, things that you can do in under 10 minutes. So stay with me as I share things that have helped me in my own life because I think that they will help you too. Okay, so the first one is you probably know more than you think. When I hear women say, and I know this was true for myself, I don't know who I am anymore or what I want. What I think is actually happening is that they're afraid to say it out loud. When you say what it is or who you are out loud, there can be this pressure to feel like you have to make it happen. Suddenly that gap between where you are right now and where you want to be becomes very real. And if that gap between where you are and where you want to be is enormous, it can feel impossible. You can start to feel like, well, I've missed the boat on that thing. I've missed my opportunity. It's too late for me now. I'm too old, or I don't have enough time left to create the life that I want. So I think that it's just easier sometimes and probably a lot safer just to say, I don't know. Because if you say you don't know, it means that you can't fail at something that you wanted. And I honestly say this without any judgment and so much love because I have been there so many times through my life where it was just easier to not even acknowledge the life that I wanted or the person that I felt like I was, my true authentic self. It was easier to either bury my head in the sand or to just stay busy with all of the obligations, the day-to-day grind, the responsibilities, the roles, and all of the different hats that we wear. It was easier to tend to everybody else's needs because stopping and saying, this isn't the life that I want for myself would mean that I would have to face it. I would have to do something about it. So the first thing that I want you to do is to give yourself the permission to say what it is that you want, to name out loud who you are in your full authentic self. You don't need to have this big grand vision of what you want your life to be or who you think you are. You don't need to know all of the little steps on how you would make this happen. Just sit with it for a little while, quietly to yourself, whether you're sitting in your car or you say it out loud or you write it down. What do you want and who are you underneath all of the roles that you play in your life and underneath all of the hats that you've been wearing? What do you actually want in this life? I honestly think that just allowing yourself and telling yourself that it is okay to want things or want your current life to be different, I think that permission slip is where it starts for most of us. Okay, and I know that some of you are watching this and listening to me right now and thinking, okay, well, that's all fine and well, but I genuinely don't know what I want or who I am anymore. So if that's you, the next point might be a gentler starting place, something that's a little more practical. Okay, so the next one is starting with what you don't want. So if saying what you want out loud or naming it on a piece of paper feels so out of reach for you, starting with what you don't want might feel a little more attainable because I think we all have things in our lives that we're resentful about, that we would like to be different, grievances that we have, things that we would love to change. Usually these things stand out for us a lot more than the positive things, because I think it's just human nature to focus more on the negative things and to see more of the negative things. So grab a piece of paper. You're going to draw a line down the middle. This can be a scrap piece of paper, or it could be a page in your journal. On the left-hand column, you are going to make a list of all of the things that you don't want in your life. You can call this your don't want list. It can be all of the grievances, all of the things in your life that you want to change, all of the things that make life hard, all of the things that you're resentful about, everything in your life that you wish were different. This is not a time to filter yourself. It is not a time to be politically correct or polite or any of those things. This list is going to give you a lot of clarity and help give you some insight into the things that you actually do want. Another thing that you could think about are all of the things or the people or the situations that you are envious about in life. I think a lot of times there's a lot of negative connotation around envy and jealousy and it being seen as a very negative emotion. But personally, I see envy and jealousy as just a tool to provide a lot of clarity and insight into helping us uncover what we value and what we care about, or the things that we want in our life. To give you a personal example, I remember being in my 20s and I remember I would see women, out at the grocery store, out at the mall or at work, and they were always so well put together. They'd have their hair done nicely, maybe a little bit of makeup on. They were just really well presented. And I used to feel so envious of women who looked this put together. I always felt so frumpy. Like I would just roll out of bed and I'd basically stroll to the grocery store in a garbage bag, and my hair half the time wasn't even brushed, or my face might not have been washed. And I remember just feeling just so unkempt, and I didn't like the way I looked or I felt ever in clothes. And I would see these women and I think it would be so easy for me to look at them and feel envy and think, well, that's easy for her. She has a lot of money. She can afford to buy nice clothes. She's naturally beautiful. She's got the figure to wear that. I could easily go down that path and start hating on that person and hating on their life and thinking like it's not possible for me. But I remember even in my 20s, I used to think of envy as a way for me to get clear about what is it that I really want here. Why am I envious of this person? What do they have that I want? And when I got really clear about it and I thought about it, I realized at the core of it, my core value, the thing that I really desired was that I wanted to value myself. And for me, this is just something that has helped my confidence grow throughout the years by putting a little effort into my appearance and making myself feel quote unquote presentable for the world was one way that I could grow in my confidence and just up level myself and start putting me in the direction of the kind of life that I wanted. And as I did that, I noticed that I attracted different experiences into my life. I attracted different opportunities. I attracted different people. And I think the world was just responding to me as I started to value myself. I started to attract people and experiences that also valued me too. So look at your list and think about anything in your life that you envy, people that you envy. Is it their home that you envy? Do you envy that they're always traveling or that they have a really beautiful relationship? Those can be clues to help you uncover things about yourself, things that you value and things that you want. So include those on your list too. Once you make a list, it can be 3 things, it can be 15 things. The next thing that you will do is on the right-hand side of the column, you're going to call this your do want list. And for every resentment, every grievance, everything that you'd want to change, everything that you feel envious about, you are going to write the opposite for each thing to help you uncover what it is that you value and what is that core desire that lives underneath. So for example, if you are feeling drained by your 9-to-5 job and at the end of every day you come home and you feel so depleted, you have no time or energy left for anything that you love to focus on any hobbies, what would the opposite of that look like? Maybe it's freedom in your day. Maybe it's the ability to create your own hours. Maybe it's a job that fills your cup and leaves you feeling energized versus drained at the end of every day. If you are feeling lonely in your relationship, maybe it's real intimacy or depth or feeling seen by others that you really want. If your home is causing you a lot of grief, it feels chaotic, you always feel like it's taking the life out of you. Maybe your heart and soul is desiring a place that feels calm, that feels like a sanctuary, that restores you versus always draining you. Once you fill out everything in the right column, fold your paper in half, or you can take a marker and scribble out everything on the left-hand side, but the only thing that you should be left with is your want list. This is a list of clues into the life that you want to create, into the things that you value, into the things that you personally care about. As you analyze this list, what patterns do you notice? What stands out for you? What does this list say about the kind of person that you are and what you care about? You do not need to start over from scratch. The person that you are, the things that you want, they are all there waiting for you. They are just buried underneath all of the obligations and the roles, the responsibilities, and the noise of everyone else's needs in your day-to-day life. I promise you, who you are and what you want is closer to the surface than you think. Okay, so the next one is one that you can do in about 10 minutes, and that is going backwards before you start to think about what your next move is, or who you are, or what you want your life to look like. I think when we are so depleted, life is so foggy, or you haven't had the time to really sit down with clarity and think about who you are or what you want your life to be, it can be really hard to have that clarity just kind of come out of nowhere. So a really good place to start is to go back in time and reflect on a time in your life that you felt deeply connected, that you felt like you were really fully present, living in your full, authentic self. I like to reflect on times that I can think in my life when I was totally absorbed in what I was doing, where time completely disappeared. I wasn't being pulled away by distractions like checking notifications on my phone or wishing that I was doing something else with my time. I was just doing the thing, fully joyful, alive, present in the moment, feeling like I was connected to even something higher than myself. This could be something all the way back into your childhood, or it could be something from your 20s. It could even be something that happened just a few months ago. Something so simple, like maybe sitting at a coffee shop with a friend where you're just listening to somebody and you're sharing and you're giving them wisdom and guidance on their life. Maybe you were so completely in your element in that moment where time just passed by and you weren't even aware. For me, it is usually some sort of creative project. It's when I am fully engrossed in something where I'm expressing myself creatively, whether it's like hands-on doing art, whether it's involved with this YouTube channel, sitting here filming or script writing or editing, any of those things. Whenever I'm expressing myself creatively, I feel completely embodied and like I'm living the truest expression of who I am. It could be traveling for you, or it could have been a season of your career where you felt really connected and really proud of the work that you were doing, or you felt like you were living a part of your calling. Reflect on that time and ask yourself, what was I doing? Who was I with? And what did it feel like in my body? It doesn't mean that you need to go back and do that thing or recreate that part of your life. These are just tiny little clues, little breadcrumbs to give you insight into the kind of life that you want to live, where you feel the happiest, where you feel the most alive, and where you feel aligned with the most authentic version of who you are. What makes you feel envious when you see somebody else doing it? That's a clue. What would you naturally spend your free time on before life got crazy and loud and just filled with all of your roles and responsibilities? That's a clue. What would you do tomorrow if you didn't have to think about anyone else's needs? What would you spend your time on? That's another clue. And the fourth one is ask the people in your life who know and love you the best. This one is so underrated, and I don't hear a lot of people suggesting it or see a lot of people doing it. Sometimes we are so close to ourselves and the things that we do our day to day that we just can't see ourselves clearly. Sometimes we have gifts and talents that are just so natural for us that we don't even register them as gifts or something that we're good at. We think that everybody has this talent, or that's just something that everybody does. We downplay all of the things that we're good at because they come naturally for us. We assume that it's easy for everyone else too. But the people who love you, the people who know you really well, they see these things differently. They've seen you light up and they've experienced your gifts in ways that you haven't experienced them yourself. So I want you to think about 2 or 3 people in your life, people that you trust, people who want the best for you and are not going to be critical of you or say anything negative. I want you to bring these people to mind, and I want you to ask them or send them this question. You can do it right after this video. You can do it in a voice note, a text message. You can ask them in person, whatever feels the most natural for you. Ask them, when do I seem the most alive to you? When have you seen me in my most authentic self? And if you want to ask them a second question, you can ask them, what do you think comes naturally to me that might not come naturally to others? What are my gifts? That's it. Just ask them. See what people say. You will be amazed at how other people observe you, what they've noticed about you, things that are so obvious to everyone else. You are just so close to it that it's not obvious for you. And if reaching out to people in your life feels a little too outside of your comfort zone right now, here's a journal prompt you can reflect on instead. Get out your journal, and at the top of your page, I want you to write, if the most authentic version of me could write me a letter right now, what would she say? What would she remind me of? And what would she tell me that I've been forgetting? Just write it out. Don't edit yourself. Don't think too hard. Just get it out of your head and let her come through on the page. For me, rediscovering who I am and trying to uncover what I want for this next chapter of my life after divorce, it didn't all come to me in one big download of information or one huge sweep of inspiration. It came to me in tiny little steps, tiny little things that I did that were stacking on top of each other. For me, one of the first places that I started was removing things from my home that were eating up a lot of time and energy and physical and mental space. I knew that I couldn't just think my way into this next chapter. I was too depleted to really conjure up ideas and to really focus on what I wanted for my life or who I was or any of those things. So I needed to start with something that I felt like I had some control over, which for me was my environment. I felt like I needed to remove things. I needed to make my home more of a sanctuary. I needed it to be a place of restoration and reprieve versus always feeling drained by it. And so I began that process of slowly decluttering. And as I did that, it opened up more space for ideas to come in. I started to have more space for myself and my creativity. It's one of the reasons I talk about making space in your home and having a beautiful, intentional home, because for me, it was the catalyst, that thing that freed up so much mental clarity so that I had space to really think about what I even wanted in this next chapter of my life. So I started clearing things out, and slowly the inspiration started to return. My creativity started to return. I regained clarity about things that I loved and things that I wanted as I was going through my divorce and pivoting towards this new life. That might not be your starting point, but ask yourself, what might be getting in the way of you hearing yourself right now? What might be preventing you from having clarity come through? What can you remove or quiet or simplify in your life to create a little more space and capacity for you to even consider what this next chapter looks like for you? I made a free guide. It's called The Slow Return, and it is for the woman who has a dream but doesn't have the energy to act on it yet. It's a gentle starting place to help you create a little more capacity in your life so that when clarity and inspiration does start to return, you have somewhere for it to go. You have space for it to enter your life. The link is in the description below if you would like to check it out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will see you again next week. Bye for now.